Moving into round 3, and I'm facing Swarm, who has an Isonek build, with the core of Lich, Scav, and Wraith Riders, plus 1x Revenant Acolytes, who boost Lich and Scav. Going into the game, I think this is a reasonably good matchup for me, as if I can get Greatbow 7 range attacks off into either hero, it can really debilitate them quickly, especially if I can get 2 attacks into Lich and put like 4 wounds on him. I set up my start zone with Maladrix and the FHG in the back, behind a Greatbow screen, as the worst sub-matchup for me is Scav getting injected and then hitting Mal twice. So I want a screen in place to prevent that, and then I open all Greatbows. I lose round 1 initiative, which is pretty massive, as if I can get the switch, I'll be able to get 2 Greatbow shots off into Lich that Swarm can't avoid taking. Swarm is pretty conservative here, just moving Lich and Scav up 1 space each, to where I can't get any shots off on my next order marker, and kills 2 of his own Acolytes. I move up Greatbows, staging 1 to where it's 7 range away from Valda, and so can hit a Wraith Rider if it takes Valda, and develop the other on the far side towards the Sola Astrid Glyph and the Plateau. Back to Swarm, who moves Lich up again and develops Wraith Riders, 2 behind the wall and 1 to the middle heighted spot. Back to me, and I had to get a judge ruling from Sir H on this one. So Greatbows are listed as being 8 tall, and the Ruin is 6 tall, but none of us have seen the physical minis yet, so I have no idea if the Greatbow's eyes are actually higher than that Ruin or not, despite knowing that at least some part of the mini must be. Sir H ends up ruling that I do have line of sight over the Ruin, so I move 2 Greatbows up to it and shoot Lich, but do no wounds. Lich takes Sola Astrid, but misses the shot on the Greatbow, and Wraith Riders then come in, taking Valda and engaging a few Greatbows, trying to tie me up going into the potential switch, and they wound 1 Greatbow in the start zone. Back to me, and I take a pseudo wait then fire turn, targeting the Wraith Rider in my start zone from height with a 5v3, trying to free up the other Greatbow to hit Lich from 7 range, but I miss the attack. That attack was essentially a 50-50 to free up that guy, which feels worth it to me, as it's so good when I get the kill. I take the same attack again and do 1 wound, but don't kill him. Swarm then brings back one of the Acolytes next to Lich. Going into round 2, my order markers are pretty interesting, because I want to be using Greatbows to ping until Scav comes in, but if I put too many order markers on Greatbows, Scav can come in freely, not worried about the Maladrix counterattack. I go with 1-2 on Greatbow and 3x on Mal. I'm less certain this is the right distribution though, as I see a lot of merit to a 3-1 distribution between Greatbow and Maladrix here instead. I lose initiative, and Lich kills a Greatbow, and Scav advances and wounds another. My 1 is Greatbow, and I end up retreating 1 to the start zone to cover Mal's weakness, as I'm worried about Scavareth getting injected with the X and bashing her. And I take the 3v3 on the wounded Wraith Rider, hoping to kill it, in another 50-50 to free up the Lich attack, but I miss it again. The follow-up attack of 4 also misses, and that's 2 full turns where I've failed to kill that single Wraith Rider in my start zone, which has left Lich free from Greatbow counterattacks that whole time. Back to Swarm, and Lich kills the wounded Greatbow by the Ruin, and then bonds with Wraith Riders, taking an LEA that misses and getting 3 attacks in, killing 2 Festering Honor Guard. My 2 is Greatbow, and I take 1 LEA from a Wraith Rider to get height on Scav, and start with taking the heighted attack into a Wraith Rider in my start zone, and I do kill it, but I then miss the Scav attack. Back to Swarm, and Lich misses his ranged attack, and bonds with the Wraith Riders again, which I think was the right move, as I was honestly hoping Scav would come in and present an opportunity for me to kill him off an initiative switch with Maladrix. Wraith Riders kill a wounded Greatbow and 1 more Festering Honor Guard. This is the argument for me having the 3-1 order marker split instead of the 2-2 split, though, as maybe Swarm takes the bait if I still have one more order marker on Great Bows as a decoy. My 3 is Maledrix, but there's not much benefit to me leaving my start zone here, so I pivot back to be a little further away from Scav and kill the 1 Wraith Rider. Going into round 3, I need to have most of my order markers on Maledrix, or Scav can come in and hit her freely, so I go with a 3-1 split with the 1 on Great Bow because I was 7 range from Lich. I do win initiative and take the 5v6 on Lich, doing 1 wound. That first roll of 7 was a misclick by me, so I had to re-roll it. I then take a 5v5 on Scav, but do no wounds. Big misses here, as good attacks on this order marker could have gotten me back in this one. Over to Swarm, and it looks like the chat box isn't updating right in the recording, but Lich took a shot from range that I blocked, and then the Wraith Rider hit Maledrix, missing. My 2 is on Mal, and I left the FHG where they were, and hit the Wraith Rider twice, but it only took 1 wound across both attacks. Back to Swarm, and Lich retreats and kills his own Acolyte, while the Wraith Rider attacks Mal but misses. My 3 is on Mal, who swings back to the back of my start zone and kills that Wraith Rider. Lich then kills the forward Great Bow, and Swarm finally decides to come in with Scav here, hoping for the switch, and it looks like the chat box is finally catching back up, and Swarm uses an injection to get further forward, and special attack Maledrix, doing 1 wound, then using another injection on the X to hit Maledrix with the normal attack, doing another 3 wounds to her. I think the first injection was probably a mistake, as saving 1 for the following order marker 1 seems better to me, but it's not going to matter, as Swarm is pretty far ahead here. It looks like the chat got laggy again, but I put all my order markers on Mal, basically praying for a miracle, but I lose initiative, and Lich comes in and shoots Mal, missing, and then Scav kills her with the 5v5, and Scav reveals the X to kill an FHG too. My final FHG throws a 3 out of 3 skulls into Scav as a final act of defiance, but it's far from enough, as Swarm then finishes me off with Lich and Scav this round, and I lose this one, falling to 1 and 2 on the event. After playing this one out, I think this matchup is a lot closer than I thought it was going in, maybe something like a 55-45 in one direction or the other, but I still don't think the Icenic army is a meaningful favorite, despite how this iteration of the matchup played out.